Tell him about the time we faced doom.
All right. Well, as I remember.
At Avenger headquarters.
Because united, the Avengers are strong.
Welcome to the MCU D&T Plus podcast with myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And we have brought back two guests this week, guest speakers. We have got Alex Stroud. Hi, Alex.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Welcome. And we've got Monty Harry coming back.
What's going on? Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me back.
You're welcome, chaps. You're welcome. So we're still missing Jason. He's otherwise engaged. He will be back very soon, guys. So don't be thinking that he's gone. He's definitely going to be back. But we've got two awesome stand-ins today. Alex, we had a good chat last week on last week's episode. Did you enjoy being on the show last week?
Yeah, I did. We had such great discussions about the Punisher and a few different things. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was awesome.
Talking of the Punisher, I watched Boss Level on Amazon Prime this week. Monty's nodding his head.
I love that movie. Yes.
I'm guessing you've seen it. Alex, Jarian, have you seen it?
Not yet. I have it on my list now.
Right. So I mean, I won't go into it too much, but basically the point is, I know he's played Rumlow. I know he's played Crossbones. I know that, and I know everyone likes Josh Bernthal.
John Bernthal.
Yeah. Bernthal. But Frank Grillo has got to play Punisher. He's he's Frank Castle, like personified. Like I've seen him in the Purge movies and in this Boss Level. He's literally Frank Castle. He's got to be Frank Castle.
He does a great job. He really does a great job. And in that movie, I mean, they really do a great job. I mean, it's, again, not to ruin it. It's Groundhog's Day meets like the Punisher and a couple other elements. So it's awesome. So check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I definitely got to check that out. I really enjoyed him in the two Purge movies he was in, especially the first one he was in when he was kind of revenging for his son, and then the second one for election year when he turned into a kind of like a protector of the presidential candidate. So, yeah, I could see it. Maybe a multiverse version of the Punisher. Who knows?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, let's bring him on. Anyway, and Monty, good to have you back. I know you've just sort of chimed in there on Punisher, but good to have you back from a few weeks ago.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
my pleasure.
And you've got a special element that I kind of know about. Me and you.
We talked about it ahead of the time. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, we've set it up sort of covertly for Jarian and Alex and me to take part in. So, and I know that the guys listening. I know a few people expressed interest in doing this, so it should be fun. But yeah, so good episode last week with Alex on. Jarian, it was a great episode. We had lots of bumper news. We've got a couple of big news elements to talk about this week, and we've got some sort of smaller news elements that we're going to buzz through. And we're also going to chat about the second episode of What If, the T'Challa as Star-Lord. We'll see where we go. Yeah. Excellent. So let's crack on, man. Let's bust through some quick sort of news articles, anything that's kind of just sort of been said. And if anybody, Alex, Monty, if you want to chime in with anything, let's do so. We're going to buzz through these first few articles before we get on to those sort of two big elements that we want to chat about. All right, where you go, Jarian, over to you, mate.
All right, well, let's start off. Monty was here to talk about this before, so let's get right into it. Black Panther 2, right? So Chadwick Boseman wanted variant T'Challa to impact MCU sequel. And then the quote from the article was, well, we didn't know it would be his final performance, obviously. He came in numerous times, I think three or four times, was so gung-ho about it, was so excited about it. Somebody's probably spoken about this already, but he came in here and read the episode that airs 24 hours from now, and then came back and said, I really love this version of T'Challa. And we had a conversation after that with Ryan about how do we get some of his voice, none of the storyline, but just some of the voice into Black Panther 2. And now, of course, it is remarkably sad and bittersweet, but I'm happy we have it, and I'm very happy he did it for us, and I'm excited for fans to see that as well. So, with that being said, the way he was, and we'll get more into What If later, but the way that he was portrayed as Star-Lord in What If, I wonder if that tone that he did will kind of carry over to how they possibly turn Namor from foe to friend in Wakanda Forever.
Wow. Monty, what was it that you said on the group? You said his superpower was What did
His
you say?
superpower was extreme likability.
That's it.
Extreme likability. It just was able to win everyone over. I mean, the guy convinced Thanos to not be a genocidal universe conqueror or universe semi-destroyer. Like, it's insane. It's super likability. That's definitely his power.
And I think you're right. That kind of played through in the movies though as well, didn't it? In Black Panther, in Civil War, like even in Civil War when he was kind of, in a way, he was kind of being a bit of a dick, like, you know, but he wasn't being a dick. Like nobody thought he was being a dick. He was just likable.
You know, he's kind of a guy who, you know, in American politics, we call it reaching across the aisle, which is where, you know, a Democrat will reach across the aisle to the Republicans. That's what really you see a lot of T'Challa do. You know, you see that where at the end of Civil War, he, you know, lets Zemo live when he very easily could have killed them. You know, he also just makes that you know decision that, all right, we're going to open up Wakanda to the world. We're going to let the world know, you know, hey, Wakanda is here, and we're, you know, we're a force to be reckoned with, and we're a player on the world stage, and you know, and then he also lets Bucky rehabilitate in Wakanda. He's got very good relations with Steve Rogers. He's just, you know, he's extending the olive branches and you know, being a very shrewd politician. So yeah, nice. Very much in character.
Nice. Yeah. I started a thread on our Facebook group the other day with a theory that I had. I won't go into it. I won't go into it now, but if anybody's interested, just search my name, Andy Stead, and find the thread that I spoke about Black Panther. There's some interesting things in there, interesting theories from my point of view, but then some also interesting replies from a lot of other members. And there was a great theory, or not theory necessarily, but wish from Michael Sullivan about how they can approach Chadwick Boseman's death in the movies, and related it to his own health struggles with his cancer, and obviously how they showed in the comics with Captain Marvel dying of cancer as well. Back years ago. Really good stuff. Monty come in on there with the discussion on how important it was to have to maybe recast T'Challa. We obviously spoke about that a few weeks ago on the podcast. So some great stuff to go back on, or back onto the groups, back to a couple of episodes ago. So we won't dwell on that too much now.
Check it out.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, check those bits out. Yeah. Jarian, go on.
Yeah, so new set photo teases police scene with military vehicles. So it's set to film more scenes in downtown Worcester, Massachusetts. The latest set photo shows a flatbed trailer carrying a police car and two armored military vehicles. The cop car is marked Cambridge Police, the city that is home to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT. So they're just going to, you know, show a possible sign of conflict in Cambridge. Police escort for Shuri. Maybe they're going after Riri for some tech, maybe. Who knows? But also, speaking of Riri in this, is that she is now confirmed to be in Black Panther 2. It was rumored before, but now on the press circuit for Shang-Chi, Fly gets it a lot about different projects, and she is confirmed to make her debut in Wakanda Forever. So the one thing that's interesting here is, and I know Monty and I discussed this in the group a little bit, you know, is Shuri going to be the surrogate for Tony Stark in Riri's story? Because, you know, from the comics, that Stark was kind of her mentor type thing once they found out that she was getting tech and she could build a suit. Well, with Stark being gone, you know, is Shuri going to be her mentor in replacement of Stark? Or are they going to make it, maybe she has a Wakandan background that she doesn't know about? It's kind of like with Killmonger, or, you know, other things along those lines. So
I hope they go down the former rather than the latter.
Yes.
We've seen the latter. The Killmonger thing, you know, I hope they go down the former, or just simply, you know, the Riri and Shuri cross paths. Maybe Shuri's on a sort of journey of discovery to try and find something, and she crosses paths with Riri, and they you know, converse about something. I don't know. I mean, how big's her part going to be? Who knows? Yeah,
who knows? It could be a cameo. You know, it should be a major plot point. We don't know.
I really like the idea, though. We've seen that a little bit, haven't we, already, where new characters in the MCU have been kind of just snuck in. to another movie, another project, and they've just gone, look, this is them, this is who they are, and then they turn up in another project or their own project, and we've gone, I already saw this person.
Yep.
I've kind of got. They're not just a random. I did see them in that movie, that established movie with those established characters, and now they're showing up in their own project.
Yeah, kind of like what they did with like Jonathan Lee Majors in Loki. You know, like we had the idea he was coming. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I personally thought that they weren't gonna, unveil him that soon. Then all of a sudden he's there, and then they just snuck him in at the end, though, just like you were saying, at the very, very end. And then now we're familiar, but we don't really know. We don't really know much about him. We just have an idea. Yep. And then now we're going to see his character expanded upon over the next, I would imagine, few movies, from now until Ant-Man.
Yeah.
The Marvel curveball really treated us well that time.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was expecting him to show up, to be totally honest. I think we'd all spoken about it, hadn't we? How we kind of went, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be Kang, or it's definitely going to, or some version of Kang. But yeah, we're not going to see him. We're not going to see him. Everyone was like, no, we definitely won't see him. And then boom, there he is for the whole episode. We saw him. Yeah, amazing.
And for you Funko Pop collectors, I'll just do this one for now until we get to the Eternals one later. But they are releasing an OG Avengers set with each colored as an Infinity Stone. So the original OG Avengers, you can buy as a box set, it looks like, and each one is going to be an Infinity Stone color.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I might already have that pre-ordered. I'm not going to lie. Pre-ordered it. I was like, I don't even care. I just got to have it.
I broke my T'Challa as Star-Lord today.
Oh, no.
I was absolutely gutted. It fell it fell off the stand, and I was like, so one of my son's friends come around and he was like, oh, is that such and such? And I was like, yeah, like, I'll show you. And I took it was the Hydra Stomper behind it. I took and it knocked him, and I was like, no, and I missed it, and it's broken off, and I'm like, now I've got to find some glue, and but let's not go into the Funkos.
All right, moving on then.
So
Jim Shooter, who was the writer of Marvel's original Secret Wars event, says Marvel Studios is developing a live-action adaptation of the project. He reveals that Marvel Studios approached him to secure the rights to Secret Wars for live-action adaptation.
Nice.
Wow. This is the one.
Yeah. I mean, huge.
Yeah. That's honestly, of all the Marvel stories that I've wanted to see adapted into the MCU, this is very much up there. Very much up there.
And it makes sense after the space too. So
exactly, it really does. Especially now we have multiverse, so we have they could include the Beyonders if they want. They can, the universe is a lot bigger of a place, and there's a lot more going on than we originally thought. So, to expand that into Secret Wars, I think that's brilliant.
A little bit of what if news here. Michael Rooker has shared his hopes to return as Yondu in a future episode focused on the Ravagers. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a Disney Plus Ravager series because there's so much we haven't seen in the MCU with the Ravagers, and we only got like a glimpse of it so far. I mean, we got even a bigger glimpse in the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So to even see like a series on Disney Plus will be good.
There was a post the other day, wasn't there, Monty? You commented on it, and I commented on it, and I can't remember all of them, but you specifically went back to every single one of them and said that was a good idea. I'm not fancying that. I'm not fancying that. Do you remember what they were?
I don't remember each, kind of thing. I do remember specifically about this. I remember that with the Ravagers, my kind of not necessarily retort, but my counter pitch to that was a Peter Quill series of showing him from right after he gets kidnapped to becoming Star-Lord. And I think that you could heavily feature the Ravagers in that, but then you also have, obviously Peter Quill's hilarious. You can play with that. There's a lot to work with there. And I think that's a little more like meaty than just a Ravager series, but I think that would be exceptional. And I really love that idea of featuring the Ravagers and all that a little bit more heavily.
Yeah, I like that too. I've also just noticed Jarian's t-shirt.
Oh,
yeah.
my new one. Yeah.
His Star-Lord t-shirt.
So
Yeah,
check
that is-
this. So check this out, Andy. I noticed it before too. It also, because it's T'Challa Star-Lord, it also looks like there's an afro coming out of the Star-Lord helmet a little bit. If you look at it,
It does. Yeah, I
black.
see on Jarian's t-shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, that would be an amazing T-shirt. I would buy that immediately.
So for anybody that's just listening, we're talking
Yeah,
about Jarian.
looks
Go on,
great.
Jarian. What we got?
No, say that one more time because it kind of froze there on me. So
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying about the Afro Star-Lord. That was
Yeah,
all.
that looks great.
Go on. Over to you, mate. What's next? Let's go.
all right. Kevin Feige confirms What If Season 2 will tackle Phase 4 movies. He said that's the fun thing about having the What If series now. We can explore questions just like that, Feige explained. And I will say, just as Season 1 is tapping into films and storylines from MCU that you've seen up to this point, Season 2 will definitely incorporate movies from Phase 4. And then to go on further, 25 out of 30 log lines pitched to Feige were picked for What If. So,
wow. Everyone was coming up with random ideas then, obviously,
I love it.
on the writing board. There was a post the other day that actually somebody said that they didn't like episode 1. They liked episode 2 more than episode 1. And the reason was because episode 2 felt like its own story, where episode 1 felt like a retelling of the first Avenger, just with Peggy in place of Steve.
yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, What If? I collect What If. That was actually one of the first series within comics that I started to collect multiple of. And What If stories, they're all over the place. Sometimes it's just a little change, and things are just a little bit different. There's a comic which is What If the Fantastic Four all had the same power? So what if they all had invisibility? What if they all had, they had things powers? What if they all stretch? What if they all, you know what I mean? So that was one. And then you have other what ifs that are just completely off the wall. And I think that's the beauty of What If, is that you can go kind of both ways with it. You don't necessarily have to be limited to it being its own self-contained story. It can be a take on a more original premise, and then just slightly change it a little bit, and then see where that goes. Because a little shift of a millimeter can totally totally change the entire outcome.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So here's an interesting one, and I can see why this happened, but I'll say it first, and then I'll say why. Michael Keaton is super confused about the Marvel Universe despite having a big role in it. He says, when I went down to Marvel, things in Atlanta, it's an entire city dedicated to Marvel. They'll be doing Marvel movies forever. I'll be dead, and they'll still be doing Marvel movies. I'm not I know what the F they're talking about. I go, and I'm thinking, you may as well be explaining quantum physics right now to me. All I know is I just know my guy, and I know the basics. So finally, they were looking at me, and they just started laughing. They said, you don't know what we're talking about, do you? I said, no, I don't. No idea what you're talking about. I never read stuff, but it's confusing because there are so many Marvel movies, and to be honest, I haven't seen many of them. It's really stupid, and I'm sorry, but I'm a 47-year-old mother. And I was, just like your reaction, Monty, I was cracking up reading this article. Because I can see it, though, especially now because he started off in the MCU, and it looks like he's going to be transitioned over to the Sony Spider-Verse, whatever they're calling it. And so he's probably getting confused between the two different studios and franchises and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to find. I love Michael Keaton as well. I'm just going to find out, how old is he? Does anybody know how old he is?
I think he's in his 60s.
It's got to be in his 60s.
He's got to be older.
I'm checking it now.
Why are you checking that? Am I the only one that thinks as he gets older he's actually turning into Beetlejuice? Am I the only one who thinks that?
So he was born in 51, so that makes him 70. Yeah.
Oh, he's 70.
Oh,
70, 51, 70.
Yeah.
So when you was reading that, Jarian, it was just I love Michael Keaton. I mean, absolute quality. Bow down, all of that stuff. Fantastic.
OG Batman. Yeah.
Absolutely. However, I was just listening to what you were saying and just thinking, it just sounds like my granddad just going, I don't know what's going on.
Old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Just tell me where I've got to go, and I'll be there, and I'll do my thing, and then I'm going to leave again. Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what's going on. I can imagine him turning up at the premiere and going, "What's this movie?" And they're like, "You're in it, Michael." Am I? Yeah, you're in it. Do you remember this is the one where you played the guy with the wings? And he's like, "Oh, right, okay." And then he just sits down in his chair and watches the movie.
Oh, that's hilarious, man. That is absolutely hilarious. But in contrast to that, you had Stan Lee. I mean, granted, he kind of helped create the whole thing, but he was like 90. He was like 90 something when he died, and he was completely, had complete grasp of everything that was going on. Could totally follow. Again, he grew up in it, but still you can get it. I think if he can do it, I think even someone like Michael Keaton can pull it together.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a new concept, though. I think this is a relatively new concept for cinema. We've got. I don't want to give too much away, but we've got a guest coming on soon who's going to be talking about the Marvel Studios and how it's evolved over the years within the film industry. But I think this is a relatively new thing. I mean, when Michael Keaton done Batman, Batman was part of DC and part of the Justice League, turned up in all these different comics. But fundamentally, Batman Returns was just part of its own. It was just a film and a sequel.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. Where now you've got, wait a minute, is it part of that sort of part, universe? Is it that universe? Is this universe? Then he's played Batman, he's played Vulture, he's played different.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? There's so, and I can
Absolutely.
understand, especially if he wasn't into it as personally, he didn't read those things. I can understand that being confusing. Anyway, moving on.
What's also funny too, and I don't know if any of you know this, Jeff Goldblum's actually like the same way. Like he doesn't even know what's going on. And I watched an interview with him, and somebody was like, "So, how do you like being in the Marvel universe?" And he was like, "I'm sorry, what universe?" And he didn't even know what was going on. So
I can imagine. But do you know what? When you said that, I was listening. I could hear Goldblum's voice
Your voice
in my head saying that is the exact same thing.
like in Ragnarok, he's like, and he laughs right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it started making me think. I was like, was the Asgard thing that he kept on saying, was when he kept on trying to refer to Asgard, was that intentional or was that a joke? Like,
Right. Oh,
He didn't know what he was doing. He just turned up on set that day and they went, just do this, Jeff. And he went, all right, okay. He just carried on.
It's a mark of a great actor, though. These guys can just jump in. They don't even have to know what's going on. They can fit the role. They can just slide right in and just, be Toombs and be, the Grandmaster and make it work.
That's a very, very good point,
Yep.
actually, Monty. That is, I don't by no means am I meaning to take the mick out of
Oh,
these
no,
guys
of course.
at all. But that is actually
funny.
a solid point. They have if they've got no idea what's going on, they can still turn up and be exactly who they're required to be. So,
Hey, 210, 220, whatever it takes, right? Mr. Mom quote there.
Yeah.
All right, Captain America 4. So the update spells good news for Anthony Mackie's future MCU. So he's signed, ready to roll, but Sebastian Stan is uncertain. Which, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Sebastian Stan much going forward with Captain America, with Sam's, because I think it's that time where Sebastian Stan has gone from a sidekick more to stand on his own. I know it's been rumored that he's going to get his own series, possibly like a Nomad series or a White Wolf type thing on Disney Plus. So I could see maybe him a cameo in that movie, but not be tied so much to Sam like they were in the previous series. I think they kind of ended that on a good note. And with that, I've got a note from my cord stuck here. I've got a note from the group about this, which makes a lot of sense. So this was what Lorenzo Terry. I hope I'm saying this right. His last name. But he had a post when I mentioned about this post. He said, "Let's not forget that Sam has both Patriot and Torres New Falcon as sidekicks. Bucky can't be a sidekick any longer. He's outgrown that role." So we know that Falcon and the Winter Soldier both teased the Patriots and the New Falcon with Torres. So I mean, that this is going to be a story where he builds up his team that way, and we just get like a cameo from Bucky or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep, happy with that. I think Sebastian Stan has got to take he was great in Falcon and Winter Soldier, wasn't he? I mean, he was half of
Absolutely.
it, obviously.
Yes.
So I think he's got to take a front seat at some point. Yeah, nice.
And who knows,
Yeah.
maybe season 2 of that show, they'll be back together. While the movie, it's more of Sam, growing on his own. So, other movie news. So Elizabeth Olsen is reportedly starting in the Scarlet Witch movie. So it looks like we're going to have a Scarlet Witch movie. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. So whether it's going to be, House of M type stuff with X-Men on the horizon or something else, but it sounds like she's getting her own movie.
Well, from the end of WandaVision, it kind of seemed like they were going to explore the Darkhold and the whole mythos and lore behind what a Scarlet Witch even is.
Yep.
Because they kind of need to explain that for the MCU folks. I mean, us, comic book fans, we know what that means, but it's kind of got a little bit of a different nuanced meaning. So, I'm for it. I'm looking forward to see it.
I know
Agatha's
Alex
still out
is
there as well. So
yeah, I know Alex is has gone down a whole Ghost Rider sort of path recently. I mean, could that maybe bring that whole side of the MCU together? Do you think, mate?
Well, I know like in the past there is like that link to the Darkhold there, so they could always tie it to that and maybe bring Ghost Rider in, tying him to the Darkhold maybe. But then they also did that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's like, do they really want to do that again? Do they want to do something completely different? I don't know. It's definitely something to think about, I guess.
maybe go the whole Chithon route, maybe in the movie.
Yeah.
She has to pull Agatha back out of her whatever she's in right now with her being hypnotized in that town they were in. Who knows, maybe Vision, searching for Vision even. All depends on if they're going to do a WandaVision season 2 as well. So
yeah
all right.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say it was an interesting way to end that show, because now, there's the rumblings that Agatha will show back up, hopefully in the near future. But it was just like the way that show ended. It was kind of like, all right, Agatha, we're just going to leave you here and forget about you for a while. So it's kind of strange how that worked out. But,
All played out,
yeah. So She-Hulk, Finland appears to have wrapped. So it was either the stunt coordinator or one of the runners basically posted a picture on Instagram saying my wrap gift, that she bought herself like a big trailer or something. So She-Hulk may be done filming, and maybe they're to the phase where it's on the cutting room floor to get ready for a Disney Plus showing.
Fantastic! I can't wait to see it. I got my She-Hulk #1 on the shelf here, collecting dust, waiting to get that nice little bump, because just in case, just explaining for the viewers who may or may not know, whenever if you have comics that are featured in the MCU, you just get a massive bump on value. There was like a relatively inconsequential issue, which was the first issue that showed it was a West Coast Avengers that showed the Vision in his all-white form, because previously he had the green and red kind of ensemble. That issue was, going for $1, couple dollars. That issue, you can't get that issue for under $100. Now, I mean, maybe now because it's calmed down a little bit, but that's just goes to show you like what you get out of collecting alongside being an MCU fan, which I love it.
And it's always when the rumors start to that happens. Like you can't like hear the rumor and go out and buy the book. The price is already gone.
Nope, exactly.
You're too late.
Yeah.
And then speaking of She-Hulk too, it was reported that she'll be breaking the fourth wall in her series. Jennifer Walters will, and
Deadpool.
correct me if I'm wrong, I think she's like the original breaking the fourth wall type character in the comics. So we'll be getting that. And even though Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool was the first one in the movies, she's the OG one when it comes to the comics. So
nice.
Glad to see it. She's a great character.
And hopefully we'll see her tease in No Way Home, maybe, possibly. If it's not Matt Murdock, maybe it's Jennifer Walters making a cameo as Parker's lawyer, with all of his downfall.
And that there leads back to what we were saying about Riri showing up in Black Panther and just introducing these slightly lesser known characters to non-comic book readers in a more well-known, well-established MCU franchise, whether it's Black Panther or whether it's Spider-Man, it's introducing this kind of lesser known character to the greater audience in a project that's already got its fan base, and then saying, look, that person's going to be in this show or this movie going forward. So makes sense.
And then speaking of No Way Home, Spider-Man 3 cast members. So Tom Holland was spotted with Benedict Cumberbatch and Zendaya amid No Way Home reshoots. So basically the news is they were sitting down having dinner in LA. Those in attendance were Tom Holland, Holland's brother, Zendaya, Benedict Cumberbatch, Jacob Batalon, and Batalon's girlfriend. Same time as reshoots were happening.
That's normal, I think, isn't it? For most movies, they'll have reshoots. We're still a few months out from that, so
they're still co-workers, at the end of it all, so it's kind of like you go out to dinner, or you may go to the pub or bar after work and get some dinner, get some cocktails, have some food, just chop it up, talk about what's going on. So I think that's not too out of the ordinary, but it is very interesting.
Yep. And then everyone wants to know about the trailer. So before I get into Feige's quote about it, Cinecon starts tomorrow in Vegas, and Cinecon is that basically it's for movie theater execs. And it has been reported that there's a private trailer for the theater execs, which could possibly lead to a public trailer. Everyone thinks that because Cinecon's happening this week, that we're going to get a public trailer. We'll see. But again, on the Shang-Chi circuit, media circuit, Feige did address the trailer, and he said, honestly, I've seen the fever online. It has not necessarily occurred to me that it is any more or less secret than any of our projects. I think all of our projects, we want to preserve surprises. That's all the secrecy is for. So he confirmed that the film will be in theaters on December 17th, while sarcastically adding that there will be a trailer before that, fans can be assured. So
okay, so that debunks my theory that there's going to be no trailer then, which I'm quite disappointed about, because that now means I've got to watch it.
You don't have to.
How can I come on and do this without watching? I can just come on and just put my fingers in my ears while you lot talk about Spider-Man No Way Home trailer in a few weeks' time.
And honestly, the trailer could be just them showing the 3 shoot, the toy leak stuff, the suits. There's been so many leaks with toys. They could show the 3 shoots. They could have some music. They could have him doing some fight scene against Doc Ock, and that'd be it. Because we know that's all out there.
I like his complete sort of ignorance of the fact that, I didn't realize there was any buzz about it. I didn't. I'll leave off, Kev. Leave off. Sure. Like, you tell me, we're like, 3 months away from a movie, and we've not had a trailer. We've had 2 for Eternals. We've had all these sort of conversations about Hawkeye, which are coming around about the same time. And you wasn't surprised that we was all talking about it.
Yeah.
And this is built up to be the most anticipated movie this year, and probably in the MCU completely. I mean, at this
probably
point,
since Endgame.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's the lead.
Yeah. It's going to be. It's a big one, isn't it? It's a big. It's going to answer a lot of questions, I think.
And speaking of Feige again, and more Shang-Chi press circuit, Avengers 5 has been addressed. So he says, I think we want to be a reasonable amount of time from Endgame to start a new saga, which is already underway and already started. And then you need time, as you did in phase 1, to build that saga before you start bringing everyone together. He also talked about Avengers will find their footing in phase 4, or how they'll find their footing in phase 4. He said, that is a great question. And I think you'll see the question addressed and people struggling with that very question within the MCU right now. I think post Endgame, and with Tony being off the board and Steve Rogers being off the board, so there you go, no more Tony, no more Steve. Again, being said, Sam Wilson is a new Captain America, of course, but what does it mean to be an Avenger? And there is a core team question, asking the question, and who's leading it and who's financing it? Remember, Cap, Rogers was the leader, Tony was the financer. So who's financing this new team? Who's the new leader? That is very much an undercurrent that will, while not at the forefront of many of the current stories, is certainly a question that is lingering in the background. So, does Wakanda become the new financier? Possibly. of the
maybe
team.
Mark Spector from Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. Does Pepper
He's a rich guy.
Yeah. Does Pepper step in as being the head of Stark Industries and all that kind of stuff? So that's a good. Maybe it's multiple people. That's a good question.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yep.
Or do they go Dark Avengers and then we have
Osborn.
to have like
Norman Osborn.
and we have Norman Osborn being like the funding, and then we have the kind of like a rebellious like actual hero Avengers working alongside, and there's a lot of routes.
That
That
secret
was
buyer
kind
from
of-
the Ant-Man, the Wasp.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was kind of my fault, Monty, actually, that you would get that we're going to go down that Dark Avengers Thunderbolts route with Osborn or Ross or Val or whoever funding this project, and then have, because they've kind of touched on that already in a way, with Sam struggling to get his mortgage for his house and the mortgage for the boat, isn't it? And are we going to get this kind of almost like secret Avengers, like these are sort of underground Avengers that aren't really funded by a lot of a lot of money? I mean, Daredevil, in the Netflix shows didn't really have any funding. He was kind of he just wore whatever he could find, couldn't he?
Fortunately, he was a lawyer, but I mean, he wasn't a lawyer of like corporate law. He was just defending like regular people, so he didn't really make a ton of money. Although he had a very nice apartment for New York City standards.
They all seem to, though, don't they? You see these apartments and you're like, so we like watching, me and my family like watching New Girl with Zoe Deschanel. We love it. And they've got this amazing, none of them have got really great jobs, and they've got this amazing apartment between the four of them. And it's like, wow, how do you afford that in LA? It's like this incredible loft apartment.
Plot armor.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Sorry, Jarian, carry on.
No, you're fine. Captain Marvel 2. Nia DaCosta teases that the Marvels is very different from Captain Marvel. She said, "I am obsessed with how we all deal with our pain and trauma, and there's some of that in the story," which leads me to see that we're probably going to see a big thing with Monica and Maria, and what we saw with the snap with Monica coming back after Maria's death, and the whole relationship between Carol and Maria as well, along with if there's any animosity from Monica as well. So
that's going to be really interesting to see how they bring all those characters together in the Marvels, because obviously
it's a dark story. So
I've been absolutely dying to see how they expand Monica Rambeau's character, because they really left us on this teaser cliffhanger with WandaVision. They showed that she's powered now. She's got her abilities, and if she's anything even remotely like the comics, she's going to be an absolute powerhouse, on par with Captain Marvel, on par with Thor, on par with all the top heavy hitters in the MCU today. So I just can't wait to see where they go with that.
I'm just wondering who's she going to be. Photon, Spectrum,
right? That too, exactly. Yeah. Like, what iteration of her power set are we going to see? That's a really good question.
So Deadpool 3, Marvel knows release date window for Ryan Reynolds' sequel. Again, Feige on the Shang-Chi circuit, more stuff here. He has stated that Deadpool 3 will remain rated R. When asked if the team had penciled in a release window for the threequel, Feige confirmed that this was the case. He continued to reveal that the script is in the works, that star Ryan Reynolds is working very hard on it and with our writers as we speak. So,
cool.
So he's having input on the writing. Did he have input on the other movies? I would imagine. But that's great.
I think he was an executive producer on it, wasn't he? I mean, I don't know. Can't quote me.
I think he was one of them on the movie.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
Yeah, but I know he's had a lot of input in the Deadpool movies.
Glad to hear it. He is hilarious.
Agreed. Again, I know I spoke about it last week, Monty, when we was on, the three of us, and I said I watched Free Guy. I don't know if you've seen it. I watched it.
But I will.
Yeah,
it's on my list.
Excellent. Loved it. Love Ryan Reynolds.
I'm still keeping hope for a Mercs with the Mouth movie. Deadpool versus Taskmaster. I'm still keeping hope for that one. I'd love that. Watch that movie. Anyways, I won't get down that path. Armor Wars. Armor Wars finds its head writer in Yasser Lester. The project is still in early development with no director attached to the project. But the nice thing is that Lester has worked with Cheadle in the Showtime series Black Monday, and he made a very promising pitch that has the executives and its main star quite excited. So there's some continuity there between Lester and Cheadle because, Black Monday show. So, and they're excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I wonder where they're going to go with that show. Is, Vision, one, Riri, another one. You know, where are they going to go with it? You know, an extension of Falcon and Winter Soldier with Sharon Carter. So I'm interesting the way they're going to go with that movie.
Very excited to see the expansion of Don Cheadle into kind of a more primary, a little bit more of a leading guy role, because I don't know if you guys have seen Black Monday. I don't know if you guys have seen other movies with Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle is an exceptional actor, and I think he's being criminally underutilized in the MCU as kind of like relegated to this kind of side character in James Rhodes. I think that he has so much more to offer. And, you know, I mean, listen, James Rhodes took the, you know, he had the spotlight for a while. He was in the comics, actually Iron Man, and for quite some time. So I'm all for it. Give me all the Don Cheadle and, you know, boost him up as much as possible, because he is an exceptional actor who can handle it.
I'd like to see his not serious side, but his professional side.
Yeah,
I think at the moment, I don't think we've really seen that. We've seen kind of his sort of comic relief kind of side to Tony, and I think we need to see James Rhodes is, you know, he's Colonel Rhodes. You know, we need to see this. Like, let's see him being this top military figure. I'd really like to see that.
Couldn't agree more.
Have you seen? Oh, go ahead, Alex.
I was just gonna say, I feel like the last time I saw that was probably in Iron Man 2.
Yes.
And that's unfortunate, because, you know, he does an awesome job playing a serious role at the same time being really good at comic relief. So who knows?
Yeah, when they had that fight, he took the suit and he was like, everyone get out. That whole scene right there, and just how he handled with Tony and Tony's path of thinking he's dying. That was a great showing of what Don Cheadle can do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of Don Cheadle, I'm sorry I keep spawning laughing. Have you seen that interview with him and Kevin Hart? Go look at the Kevin Hart Don Cheadle interview, because I guess Kevin Hart didn't realize how old Don Cheadle was, and the way he replied to him and the look that Don Cheadle gave Kevin Hart, I was dying laughing when I saw that. And so go look at that interview with those two, because it's hilarious. Okay. Fantastic Four news. It will feature, and this is more from the press junket. Kevin Feige has been spilling some tea out there as he's promoting Shang-Chi circuit. He says Fantastic Four reboot will feature beautiful combination of established actors and newcomers. So with that team of those four, we could see some newcomers like they've done in the past, with some established actors. You know, it's kind of what they did with, you know, the early on Avengers. He said, I think the MCU is a beautiful combination of both established actors and new faces. I think you look no further than Simu Liu in Shang-Chi, like Chris Hemsworth, like Tom Hiddleston, like Tom Holland, an actor that hadn't been seen by a tremendous amount of people before, or you have a Benedict Cumberbatch stepping into Doctor Strange, or Kristen Bale stepping into Gore in our Thor film. It's always a beautiful combination of both, and it's really about the search for the best actor for the job, whether the actor is known to the world or not. So,
not forgetting, we've got Russell Crowe turning up in Love and Thunder.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a massive coup, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Left DC to come to Marvel now, you know, and I can't wait to see it, because now that, you know, that's just so huge for the Marvel continuity, for the MCU continuity. Now we have Zeus involved. We're going to have the Sky Fathers, or we're going to have the whole pantheon of gods. Like, what does that mean? Like, yeah, absolutely. And then now we have such an established actor like that playing that role. But then also, you know, like they said, they have Tom Holland and all these other kind of newer actors. I love the mix, and I would love to see, you know, what they're going to bring us with Fantastic Four.
I would almost hope that the three that are, you know, normal looking, not the Thing, but those three are all new people, and maybe the Thing is the glue, whoever voices the Thing. Even before, and it depends how they do the story. You know, if they're doing an origin story again, which I hope they don't. I hope they do it similar to Spider-Man. And it all depends there, and so maybe they'll have that person be kind of the headline actor for the voice of Ben Grimm / the Thing, and the other ones all younger or newer actors. Not necessarily younger, but just newer actors.
Like what they did with like Rocket Raccoon and Groot.
Yes.
I was going to say the exact same thing, actually, Monty. I mean, Zoe Saldana, obviously, she had been in Avatar, but again, not as herself. Yeah. And she'd been, I think Star Trek had come out before that, but it's relatively still unknown. Chris Pratt, obviously, I know he'd been in Parks and Recreation.
Parks and
Yeah,
Rec,
but he
yeah.
was mainly
Yeah.
comedic until Zero Dark
Again-
30. Chris Pratt was mainly a comedic actor.
Yeah,
Right.
relatively unknown.
Yeah.
Dave Bautista, again, not on the acting circuit.
He's a
Relatively
wrestler.
unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the two biggest actors in the Guardians of the Galaxy didn't play themselves, as in you didn't see their faces. Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel.
Vin
So
Diesel.
yeah, I mean, let's yeah, I'm all for that. The thing being The Rock or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be ironic, wouldn't it? Actually,
The Rock playing The Rock.
I didn't even
That's
think
funny,
about that.
The Rock playing a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whoever, and then the Reed, Sue, and Johnny being newcomers.
Or I could see them doing like Sue being established actress and then going everybody else new as well.
Yeah.
I think Reed, they need to bring someone like older that's a newer actor in, I think. Possibly.
Reed is going to be so important. Whoever they pick as Reed, they really have to nail that role because he really is the guy.
I agree. I threw in a comment, a post on the group the other day. Jay Harrington from SWAT.
Yes.
Not necessarily on his acting ability. I've only ever seen him in SWAT, and as great as SWAT is, my 11-year-old son loves it. But as great as SWAT is, I've not seen him in anything else, so I'm not going to comment too much because obviously that's the material that he's working with. But as regards to looks and demeanor, I think he'd be great. He's sort of 6 foot. He's older. He's got that kind of serious look. He could probably pull off being a little bit of an arsehole as well, because Reed is. Let's face it, he's not totally a good guy, is he? Really, he'll do kind of whatever it takes, even if that means being a bit of a dick.
I would say Tony Stark Ultron times 2, maybe.
Pretty much.
And do you know what? I think I said this before about I'd like to see that when we get Charles Xavier as well. As much as I loved Patrick Stewart, fantastic. He's too nice. He was too nice. But Charles Xavier, again, like Reed, was a bit of a dick.
He was kind of dark.
Yeah, he was. He was mean, wasn't he? He was mean,
and he had all those like undercurrent, like, kind of backhanded things. Like, he's part of the Illuminati. He also had all these like unrequited feelings for Jean Grey all those years that they never talked about. So there's a lot with Charles Xavier.
Ulterior motives. So
just throwing it out there. Kevin Spacey. No, sorry, not Kevin Spacey. What am I talking about? Draco Malfoy. No, not Draco Malfoy. Who's the dad? Lucius Malfoy. Jason Isaacs. I got there in the end. I got there.
Yeah.
I was like, where's he going?
Kevin Spacey's like dead to the world, I feel like, these days.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I was going. It's late. I've had like a whole bottle of red wine. Leave me alone.
But if you think Robert Downey Jr. was a big risk for the MCU,
he was.
Kevin Spacey's even bigger.
Yeah, that is true. But anyway, Jason Isaacs for Charles Xavier.
I like that.
Just my shout. Anyway, moving on, Jarian, before we get into too many fan castings.
All right, Eternals. So we're getting to the end of the news. So first up's Eternals, then we'll get into Shang-Chi.
And this is one of our big ones, isn't it?
Yes.
The trailer.
Yes. So he's also said that for Eternals, preference is theater, but Feige also said we will see where it goes for dual release. So obviously keeping on the eye of state of things, we'll see possibly as well. They will explore their absence during in-game. So we know that's coming. And we've seen in the latest trailer that they were saying unless it's deviants, they can't interfere. The film was inspired by Tony and Steve's friendship. It's a little bit like being on a road trip with 9 of your closest friends for 7,000 years. In development, we joked that if it's like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers lived together for that long, their friendship will turn into frenemies and then turn into enemies and then come back to friendship because you have that common bond. It's like a family. New trailer, we see Arishem the Judge Celestial. And I know there's been controversy about this, but the Lego set says it, and I'll get Lego sets here in a minute, but the Lego set said it's him. Also know that the power of people returning from the snap is why they're interfering. They were instructed not to interfere unless deviants were involved. And then going forward with that, Funko Pops have also leaked of the Eternals, including a jumbo-sized Celestial. All the Eternals with some exclusives in different forms, 13 total. And there's also the Lego sets making the rounds again, which we see 4 of them making the rounds, including one that says that is Arishem the Judge. And we also see their ship. Now that statement is interesting because Clayton, I can't remember his last name, in the group posted a theory. And it almost sounds like that could be with Icarus. That, you know, he kind of broke down the trailer and noticed some things, and I'm not going to go too deep into it. You guys can go find that in the group. But it seems like friends, frenemy, and then friend again with his possible character, which I think might piss some people off. So
just going into the trailer, a great trailer again. I'm super looking forward to the Eternals. I don't know much about it. Neil Gaiman, no, who was the run? Someone give me the writer's name.
I think Neil Gaiman did like
Neil
one of the
Gaiman.
later ones. Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, that's the only bit of Eternals knowledge I've got from the comics. So I'm really looking forward to them introducing these guys. I don't know about Alex, you've just banged out his name now. I don't know what you're thinking about the Eternals.
I'm a big fan of I don't know if you ever heard of this. It's called The Endless. It's from DC, and Neil Gaiman also wrote that. And so I've kind of read some of Neil Gaiman's stuff. I actually haven't read his Eternals run, but if it's anything like The Endless, I'm so excited for it. Like, you know, it's definitely like he's just a great writer. He's a great storyteller, and he tells like some very like different stories. Kind of like a big curveball, I guess you could say, something you would never expect when you're reading the stories. So
the Neil Gaiman story that I've read, they've kind of all forgotten who they are.
Right, exactly. I was just going to say that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Monty, go on. You'll probably, I mean, I've read it, but
No, I mean, it's just basically, you know, he comes from a standpoint of they've kind of forgotten who they were, and they've all, you know, kind of got to find each other over time, which is somewhat in contrast to what we've seen in the trailer, which, by the way, I think is an excellent trailer. So where that contrast from the trailer is that they only got here just 7,000 years ago, whereas in the comic books, the Eternals have been here the entire time, all along. They've branched out. They went to the moon of Jupiter, to Titan. So that's where, you know, you get Lars is over there, and then he has his son, which is Thanos, as well as his other son, which is Eros, or Star Fox, depending on, you know, how you want to, what you prefer. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, how they're going to play with that. Are they going to have it that the Eternals were here and then they all left? Or were some here and then some left? Are they going to do that? Like, I'm very interested to see how that ends up playing out. But I really love that run, that Gaiman run, where they all forget, you know, kind of where they are. They forget their past. And
I think this is a similar take on that. They've not necessarily forgotten their past, but they've left their past as Eternals, or the powered people, behind, and kind of living normal lives within, you know, society. And then obviously something's happened, and they've had to come back together as Eternals to you know, with these powered beings to fight off the deviants, which is similar to that Gaiman run, obviously using different mechanisms there. They haven't forgotten who they are. Well, it doesn't seem like that from the trailer anyway.
Right.
So it looks like they're going to go down that route, sort of. So if they're taking inspiration from that Neil Gaiman run, then yeah, I'd like to see that.
And they talk about in the trailer the emergence, which I thought was extremely interesting, because they can go so many routes with that. It could be, you know, and I've kind of talked about this in one of my posts on you know, in the group about the celestial egg, where that's a concept where celestials implant their eggs within the cores of the planet. They manipulate the genes of the whatever race is on that planet to kind of be like an immune system to protect the egg inside of the planet. So, you know, they might go that route with the emergence, meaning the emergence of a new celestial. Or do they mean that it's the emergence of deviants? Maybe the Eternals were successful in fighting the deviants off at some point 7,000 years or whatever ago, and then they were able to kind of shut that down and leave them, you know, in, you know, kind of like what was that? Actually the Chris Pratt recent movie where you know, they have
Tomorrow War,
exactly, where they were kind of there. It turns out they were there the whole time, and then they emerged one day. You know, maybe they do something like that. I don't know. Or is it the emergence of mutants?
Yeah, you make a good point though, because there's that one trailer shot when they're talking about the snap return, had some energy that caused something, and like Andy with the motion there.
Yeah.
Something was going down towards the Earth. Was that a cosmic or celestial egg right there?
Yeah.
You know,
and then there's that explosion, isn't there? You see that the it looks like a tidal wave in the Earth.
Yep.
Like the coast going in.
Yeah.
I mean, whether we know what trailers are like, they play with your mind a little bit, don't they? Sometimes, but it's kind of along those lines, isn't it? So yeah, who knows?
Also, go ahead.
Yeah, that plays into, and that also, coming back to what we were talking about with Black Panther, we know that Namor is going to be a part of the Black Panther 2. He's going to be an integral part of that war between Wakanda and Atlantis. Atlantis, for those who don't know, the reason Atlantis even sunk was because of the Celestials.
Mm-hmm.
The Celestials actually, so there's a tie-in there. There exists a tie-in in the comics, at least, between the Celestials and Atlantis, because you had the Deviants, you had the humans, and you had the Eternals. They were all fighting, and they sunk Atlantis into the sea. Kind of because of their kind of relationship with like Deviants and how there was a war going on at that time.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that. That's do you know what? I mean, I sit there and go, oh yeah, we even us, even having you guys on here. We know everything. But you got to remember, they've got these team of writers that just literally know everything.
Yes.
Everything.
So are they pulling these little bits in and timing the releases of these movies together just to draw inspiration from stories? It's incredible.
And so we could be seeing three fronts here.
Yes.
Mutant Gene. We could see the Atlantis one. And then I just forgot the third one.
There is something else though.
The celestial egg situation? Or?
Well, so yeah, the celestial egg situation, the mutants tie-in, and the Atlantis tie-in with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So, we'll see where this goes. This could be one of those films that has branches out to multiple things. It's almost like a Thor movie in a kind of a way. How Thor was kind of that one that kind of touched everything. This could be one of those movies that touches everything.
I think so. I think they're definitely going to do that. That was a great analogy, by the way, because I was like, when Eternals first came, this whole time I've been very apprehensive about the Eternals. I'm like, are people going to get it? They're not that popular of characters, whatever the case may be. But then I saw this trailer and it totally just wiped away a lot of my apprehension and, kind of exactly to your point.
And then also what's been teased too is that it's going to be like kind of like a triangle love story in this film with Cersei being at the center of it. So
yes,
we know that her and Icarus have a big, history together, but it seems like, that could be the past stuff, but it seems like present day, she's with the Black Knight, Dane Whitman, in this movie. So going off that and just what we saw from the last trailer, I don't think we'll see a big Black Knight presence in this movie. I think it's going to be more of a tease or an introduction type thing with Black Knight and not being a big part of the story is my guess.
Excuse me. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you with a cough.
No, I was kidding.
I couldn't hold that out any longer. I agree. And I think that Kit Harington is going to play a huge part going forward.
Yes.
I think he's going to play a huge
It's a setup
part.
film for him, I think.
Yep, absolutely. I think he's really going to be heavily involved in the MCU for me. I don't think this is a bit part for him at all.
And I got a question for you guys. I saw an article today that was kind of comparing the Eternals to the Justice League. What are your thoughts on that?
The movie or just the group?
Just in general, because they kind of compared, and the two major comparisons was Icarus and Superman, and Athena and Wonder Woman. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you got Makari and Flash.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I can see the comparison, but whereas the Eternals are more of a family, the Justice League is kind of a they're kind of this patchwork of
necessary
different
friendship
heroes that have come together. Honestly, I compare the Justice League more to the Avengers than I would to the Eternals.
Alex, I know you're a big DC fan. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I kind of agree with Monty on that one. Just because DC's kind of got this, you take Batman, you take the Flash, you take Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Superman, you take all those characters, Aquaman, I'm sure I'm missing somebody like Cyborg, or you take all those characters, they all are kind of just pushed together when the story is right. And they kind of did that in the first Avengers movie, but they stuck together. Though that's the difference. The DC kind of doesn't always do that. They kind of just go, way off the rails sometimes. So
I think as well, looking at just purely just taking away whether they're a family or whether they're pushed together through circumstance or because, whoever, Amanda Waller, Nick Fury, whoever wants to make them come together, gets them together. Looking just purely at power sets, I mean, how many different powers can we make up? I mean, super speed. I mean, just generally speaking, if you just went out on the street and just asked somebody, name me a superpower, you're probably going to get flight, strength, speed, X-ray vision, invisibility. There's standards, isn't there? So if you get a group of people, a group together, you're probably going to have a group that's got these standard power sets. So, I mean, I get it, but I mean, I think, comparing their powers to somebody else is probably too simple. It's a bit more complex than that. Like you guys have just said, it's not just about their powers as such. It's about how they got together, how they've stayed together, their dynamic between the group, why they've stayed together. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So yes, okay, fine. Icarus can fly and shoot laser beams. So can Superman. That just means they can do the same thing. It doesn't mean they're the same person. It doesn't mean they're in it for the same reason. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. And one more quick thing, not to be negative towards Superman, but his powers have just evolved from the very beginning. Like Superman couldn't even fly at one point.
Yeah.
So he's so it's always one of those things where like he always just over the years gets another power. So
all right, so moving on to Shang-Chi. Trevor Slattery is back. All right, so we had the premiere last week. We also saw that they had some early showings in some cities on the 18th as well. But he's back in the movie. There's even a screen cap of him. So Sir Ben Kingsley is in the movie, and he's shown back with the similar monk type of wardrobe that we see Katie, who is Awkwafina's character, when she has the bow, similar as well. So that's interesting. Is there some tie there from the one-shot stuff after Iron Man 3 with him? But it's interesting to see, again, where's that tie coming from? We already know there's some 10 ring stuff, some ties back to the original Iron Man that have been already talked about already, but that Trevor Slattery thing is putting some more continuity there.
It's really interesting because this is a long time after that as well. I mean, you think this is 2023 we're talking about. That was 2016.
That was after Avengers, the first Avengers. So yeah.
Christ, that was even longer ago than that. It was probably 2014.
Yeah,
we're talking nearly 10 years. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see where Trevor Slattery fits into this story.
Yeah, is it a flashback or is it present time? And him seeing and I keep seeing that photo of Awkwafina, Katie's character, in that same gear, that same red robe type of wardrobe, with that bow. And I keep thinking there's more to her than comic relief of being
you keep saying
Shang-Chi's friend. I think she's part of that monks, or even working for his dad, maybe. I don't know, but there's something more to her.
It's a common plot idea, isn't it? You've got this character, let's put somebody with them to guide them through their journey, and not let them on that they're from this sort of organization, but they're kind of just, they don't really know what's going on, but they're actually covertly they're pushing them in a certain direction. So that'd be interesting to see how if she fits into that.
It'll be interesting. So we don't really know the Death Dealer behind the mask. Ooh. Would it be interesting though if that she is on his dad's side in the beginning, keeping an eye on him, and is a Death Dealer, and then later on she changes sides.
Double agent.
Yes, I don't know. I thought about that. But anyways,
and we know that that's obviously set. Like I just touched on there, it's set. They've confirmed. Was that what you was going to say next? That it's confirmed that it's set in the present
Yep.
day MCU. So we've been theorizing when Shang-Chi is going to be set. Is it going to be in the 5-year blip? Is it going to be any other time? Or is it going to be in the present day MCU? And it is in the present
Correct.
present day MCU. So that's an interesting point there, I think.
And then as far as those comments about Shang-Chi being an experiment, Feige addressed those as well. More stuff from the press circuit. He said, talking about Simu, he's not a shy man. I think in that particular tweet, you can see, and I think everyone does, a misunderstanding. It was not the intention. The proof is in the movie, and we swing for the fences as we always do. With the amount of creative energy we put in the budget, there's no expense spared to bring the origin story to the screen. So,
I mean,
Wonderful.
What does that mean to the average man? Who knows?
I don't know, but I just wish, the experiment thing, I still think were bad comments on Disney's part.
Yeah, sometimes I wish these people would just shut up.
Yeah,
just shut up and just give us the entertainment. Stop bringing these politics and corporate stuff into it. Like, do we need to know that? I don't know. I think as fans, like, if we just want to enjoy this content, yeah, we probably don't. As we glazed over the piece of news the other week, Jarian, we just sort of went, look, that's what it is. Yep. We don't really know anything. Let's just move on.
And all the reviews from Shang-Chi that I'm reading are really, really good. And, I read a lot of Charles Murphy stuff, and Murphy's Multiverse. He's one of my go-to places for a lot of stuff. And his tweets about the movie, and just him after them seeing it, because there's more than just him. They were really, really good about the movie. And some people are describing it as a classic kung fu film with family drama.
Oh, brilliant! Because I love a good kung fu movie. I watched Ip Man the other day.
Ip Man, I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's one of my favorients.
I just hope we get some Wu-Tang music in at some point in the movie, because that just ties it all together for me. Because
would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I love that. I love that style, that kung fu style where there's. I agree that the Wu-Tang, love to hear that. But on the flip side to that, I love when there's no soundtrack, there's no background music, and you just hear that. It's that cut. Yeah, love that. Absolutely love that. I just think that draws me in and makes me feel like I'm there rather than watching it. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you've got a soundtrack going on, you feel like you're watching the screen. But when you can't hear that, you can hear the punches and even the over exaggerated, swooshes of someone punching. You still feel like you're there. You're on the shoulder of that person when they're fighting. I love that. I think that's brilliant.
And then post-credit scenes. So at first it was reported there was only one post-credit scene. And the description of that, it says the Shang-Chi crowd was the most enthusiastic I have ever been with since Endgame. Couldn't hear some of the post-credit scene dialogue due to cheering. Shang and Katie are instant MCU all-stars. So that was some reporting on the first post-credit scene that was reported. Awesome. But now there's multiple being reported. So
Well, as far as the cheering is concerned, I won't have to worry about that because I'll be watching it in Great Britain. So nobody here does that. So you three have got a problem. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And speaking of more Feige, he said that we will see most of the Shang-Chi cast again in the MCU.
Great.
That's an interesting statement.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Yep.
And then a couple last things here just to finish up Shang-Chi and the news. That tweet about that Simu tweeted about, Marvel, are we going to talk about Shang-Chi? Unfortunately, Feige has debunked that. That's how he got hired. Basically, Feige said, unfortunately, Simu, it's not your tweeting. It was your acting ability, your constant professionalism, and the multiple reads and meetings that you did. Now, did Sarah Finn see that? Our casting director, I don't know the answer to that question. And then Feige said, that's a cosmic wonder, but I do think the universe saw that, basically. So, and the last thing regarding news and even Shang-Chi is that there will be a Marvel Legends episode coming.
All right.
Great.
That'd be interesting because wait a minute, hold on. Where's that going to come from then? Because
I don't know, but it's not there yet, but it's coming.
No. But I mean, what are they going to put in it? Because correct me if I'm right. Right, the Marvel Legends episodes have been all about the what's
Backstory.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be interesting.
Maybe they'll
Yeah.
dive into the history of Shang-Chi, maybe, and some of the comic book lore stuff of it. I don't know where it's going to come from, but they said there's one coming.
I guess they're going to include a lot of the Ten Ring stuff from
Yep.
Iron Man 1 and Iron Man
Yep,
3.
that could be in there. Trevor Slattery.
Very interesting.
Maybe it'll be like that gap in between Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi.
Yeah. Maybe address Killian and AIM, maybe too, as well. So we'll see.
Interesting.
But that's all the news. So
Cool.
Nice.
a
Good
lot
job.
of news there. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of news. There is a lot of news. So I think we'll crack straight on with talking about What If episode 2. All right. So let's have a little bit of time about What If episode 2. So we got T'Challa as Star-Lord. There was some really nice moments in there. I think we kind of touched on it really briefly at the beginning of the episode about how T'Challa's superpower was sort of likability. But I've seen some bit of hate for the episode actually, and I don't quite. Yeah.
Well, there's some things we need to address, and I'll let Molly just in a minute because we're on the same page here. But I thought Korag was kind of interesting in this episode because when you go to the first Guardians of the Galaxy, when he was interacted with Star-Lord, he's like, who? And then in this one, he's like, oh, Star-Lord, blah, blah, blah. And did the whole parallel, we don't do that here type thing. So I thought Korag was pretty interesting all through the episode, just the way his personality was and his character was, how he went from them trying to get after Star-Lord to them being friends and allies and in this classic Star-Lord, type plan here. And all that kind of stuff. So the whole Korag thing I really liked, but I'm gonna let Monty go here with what he didn't like because I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah. So for me, it was just it was a little too perfect. That's the thing, and it sounds like such a nitpicky thing to complain about, like, oh, it was too perfect, but it just everything just went out. Like the stakes were very low on that episode. Like there was just contrasted to episode 1. You had Steve Rogers fall off the train in the place of Bucky. We had no clue what was going to happen to him because it's very possible they could have swapped him out for Bucky and he could have died or whatever the case may be. They did say it was indestructible, but it was a little more of a somber tone. And then also, you had the sexism that Captain Carter was dealing with. There was a lot of things going on that at any moment could have sunk the whole, story or sunk the whole, plot, in terms of like it going a bad way. Whereas I never not at one point did I know that, or did I think that T'Challa wasn't going to just completely come out on top without even a scratch on him. I was never worried the entire time. Thanos was a little campy. The whole thing was a very campy episode, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong, I loved it, but that was my kind of critique of what, and not saying that I didn't like it necessarily, but in contrast with episode 1.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. You kind of come out the episode with these sort of nice sort of butterflies and sort of unicorns and rainbows and oh, lovely. That was really, really nice, but not feeling, oh, wow, that was really great. I know what you mean. It was kind of too nice, wasn't it?
Right. Exactly.
But everything about it was nice.
Just everything wrapped up in perfectly neat little bow. Just, there was the only thing obviously being the the ending there, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but just the ending part where Ego comes back and finally links up with Peter Quill, because we don't know how that'll play out. That might lead
another
to
story,
a whole other an Ego-verse for all intents and purposes. So we don't know that part, but even with that, wrench thrown in at the end, I still was a little like, all right, this is just like the perfect possible situation for everything. Like he talks Thanos out of it. Thanos gets into this fight. He's getting beat up. He gets out of it. What Nebula comes with the MacGuffin seeds and puts them in Cull Obsidian's mouth after they're having clear trouble with Cull Obsidian, and then boom, he's out of it. And like no one gets hurt, no one gets killed. No, everything is just perfect. So that was the only thing for me. But I still love the episode. So
Yeah, I hear you. You know, sometimes when you're watching things, anything, it doesn't matter what it is, you need that sense of fear and that sense of worry and that kind of the aggression. I mean, I was watching a movie last night. I won't go into it, but there was points where I was sitting there going, "Come on, just run! You know, just get out of there." Never at any point did I think that. It was just like I was watching it. I was going, "Oh, this is great!" You know.
yes, exactly, and it was great. Don't get me wrong.
I get your point, Alex. What did you think, mate?
So I think the pacing on the second episode of What If was a lot better than the first. Like the first was kind of fast in my mind.
I agree with that a lot.
And it wasn't that I hated it. It was just like, I don't know, it was just moving so quick that like, you know, it's like, oh, Steve falls off the train and then all of a sudden like, oh, here he is again. Like, you know, and he, you know, I know it's kind of weird, but with the second episode, like one of the things that I really did like was I loved how they had that nice little call out to Hela.
Yes.
And they made that mention of a necro sword.
Yes.
You know, like when I heard that, I was like, whoa, hang on. Like, let's rewind and listen to that one more time. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it really highlighted like how great of a leader T'Challa was. And I also think like it really highlighted like how he could just use his words. He was a great orator.
Yes.
And a great speaker. So, you know, kind of looking at that.
And it was interesting too. Oh, go ahead, Andy.
No, go for it. I was just saying, yeah.
I'll say it's interesting too how they changed the Yondu lie. Remember, with the original, Yondu was supposed to pick up Quill to give him to Ego, and he, you know, the whole lie there. Well, this one was instead of that, he got the wrong person because of the signature or whatever. They saw with T'Challa, but it was, you know, Wakanda's destroyed or something like that, but it actually wasn't destroyed. And they kind of tied back into Wakanda and the necklace and even the ship as well. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. So in every universe, Yondu's a liar.
Yeah, pretty much.
But he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
One last point on what Alex was saying about the pacing of the two episodes so far. It did feel like the first episode was a whole movie condensed into one 30-minute show, where it felt like this episode was a short story. Do you know what I mean? It felt like this episode was almost like designed to be this its own little thing. It wasn't. And this goes to a point, and I can't remember who said it. And I'm sorry if you're listening, you know, just chuck a comment on when I chuck this post out. But somebody said, you know, like I said, for episode 1 was basically First Avenger, just with Peggy getting the serum.
Yes.
But this was
No Winter Soldier.
This episode was its own story, and I think that kind of dictated the pacing. Because it was like this was its own story, so they could write it as a 30-minute story. Where the first one was the First Avenger, just with Peggy getting the serum, so it kind of had to go through the whole First Avenger story, but they still only had half an hour.
Yeah,
and to that point, I would say my biggest critique so far of the whole series is just not enough. I think that we need. I think you need a good 40-45-minute episode to really knock it out of the park. I don't know why you'd limit it to 30 minutes. Like you're not running it on TV.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, you can make each episode its own length to fit the story, not try to cram it into a certain window of time.
Yeah, there's no reason that it should be 33. Like you could expand it out to 40, 45. You'd have more than enough time. Nothing would ever feel rushed. And I think the consumer and the viewer would walk away feeling way more satisfied just with those extra 5 to 7 minutes of exposition.
And it's still really frustrating, isn't it, when you press play and you go, oh, look, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But you forget there's 7 minutes.
No, that's like 5-7 minutes of credits because it's Marvel.
But two things I really liked. I always love more Nebula, and who doesn't love more Howard the Duck, right?
Yes.
Yes, loved Howard the Duck. I thought he was great in that. Yeah, the way he just sort of stands over his little pipe. Yeah, love that. Really.
But going back to the whole Hela's helmet and the Necro sword and that kind of stuff, there's been some theories about that possibly could be tying into Love and Thunder. You know, what happened to her helmet? Does Gore get a hold of her Necro sword? You know, it's the first time I actually heard that named that in the MCU. They didn't really touch on that in the movie. So interesting to see if that ties into Love and Thunder with Gore.
Yeah, because in the comics that comes from Null,
Null.
which is he's the guy who basically sets Gore on his path to becoming the God Butcher and gives, he gets the Necro Sword by that route. Whereas I don't know if they're going to bring Null into it. I don't think they really could do it. There's a lot of tying in that they would have to do. They also need the Sony verse to merge in with us.
Symbiote.
To really make it, to have the symbiotes. That's a lot of work. Whereas, you can just tie it to Hela and then make it a quick over
boom.
And
to
you've got the fact that Hela was left on Asgard after Surtur sort of destroyed Asgard and potentially killed Hela. We don't know.
So could Gore,
could Gore have picked it up from there? So yeah. But it's still an entertaining 32 minutes of MC.
Absolutely.
Yes. And still absolutely loving Jeffrey Wright's narration. Just
I hope we get live action Watcher in the MCU with him.
Me too.
I was thinking that today. I rewatched the episode just to kind of prep for today, and I was like, you know what, he would be excellent. Like, I hope we see him be the voice of like a CGI like Watcher in the future. I would love that. Yeah,
totally agreed. Okay. Brilliant. So that brings us on to our little surprise, Monty. I think.
Before the surprise, real quick though,
go on.
I know we have that show list that we think is right, and there's been some controversy about whether next week is Loki or it's Scarlet Witch. Black Widow episode. What do you guys think next week's going to be? Is it going to be Loki or is it going to be something Scarlet Witch? I'm sorry, Black Widow. Black Widow. I mean,
I think they're going with the Loki one.
I do too.
Yeah, makes the most sense right now. Is Loki.
Yeah, Alex, what do you reckon?
Probably Loki. I have to agree.
I think it's got to be the Loki wins. Yeah. King Loki, Emperor Loki beating in New York. Yeah, I agree. But we'll see. We'll find out probably in the next day or so, I should imagine. So Monty. So basically, guys. So look, I kind of know what the surprise is, but I don't know any more than that. I asked Monty to prepare some questions for us. Yeah, based on comic knowledge. So we had a few listeners that said they really enjoyed Monty's questions when he was on last time, and they found themselves pausing and going back. I think Alex might have even been one of them that said that.
Yeah, I was.
Thank you, sir.
But a couple of people said, "Oh, we really enjoyed, trying to answer the questions." So when I sort of come up with the idea of inviting Monty on today as a bit of a surprise, I sort of said, "Monty, let's." Come up with some questions to ask, Jarian and Alex and myself, and we'll see how we do. And the listeners can do it at the same time. So, Monty, over to you, mate. Go on, take it away.
Ready to go. So these are going to progress through. We got 3 rounds. Obviously we can kind of cut it down if we're stuck for time or anything like that. But I got 3 rounds worth of questions. They go from easy, medium to hard.
Okay.
So this first round is going to be the easy questions. Hopefully, I mean, I did my best. It was a little bit tough to kind of like mix the easy and the hard and kind of separate them out. So hopefully I did. So first one is name 3 Eternals.
So
Nowhere.
Guys, hold on, wait one second. Wait, I was just about to say, just think for a second, just a little bit of silence, just to give people that are listening a chance to kind of think about it as well. So, 3 Eternals. Now, what are we talking about here, Monty? 3 Eternals from the comics or 3 Eternals that we've seen in the MCU?
So you can do 3 from the MCU, or you can do 3 from the comics. This is the easy round, so just kind of getting you warmed up. So either or is fine.
Okay, Nowhere, Ego, Arishem.
Yeah, Esson. He's another one that we've seen.
Esson. Yeah, he's the Searcher. He was the one that we saw in Guardians with the staff blowing up the planet.
No, those are Celestials.
Oh, what'd you say? Oh, he said Eternals. I'm sorry.
Eternals.
I'm sorry.
Icarus
well, you said Star Fox earlier, so
yeah.
We've got what carried away there, didn't we, Jarian? I just didn't even listen to the question.
Cersei, Icarus, Druid,
Makari. Yeah.
Sprite.
Sprite. Yeah.
What were because in the
Gilgamesh.
Neil Gaiman,
Yes.
Gilgamesh.
Yeah. Gilgamesh. Athena.
In the Neil Gaiman run, they basically all forgot their names.
Yep.
So like Makari was Mark,
Yeah.
And
Right.
Icarus was like Chris or something like this.
Yeah. They had like short
Yeah,
names.
Chris.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Cool.
Athena, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah,
Athena.
cool, wicked.
Yep. All right, cool. Sounds good. Next one is before it was called Marvel. What was the original name, the first name of the comic book publisher that would eventually
Timely
become-
Comics.
Oh, man.
Oh, my man.
I
Told you, easy round.
I knew it was
Okay.
something comics. Like, I just remember the first part of it. Good one, Alex.
Actually, you know what? In this next one, I think is going to be an Alex one too. Name 2 of Ghost Rider's alter egos.
Oh, easy.
Wait, Alex, wait. Just
Wait, let's let the
count to
let's
5.
let the-
Count to 5.
Let's let
Give
the folks at home
Give
get
the
their
people
shot.
shot. Right, I'll count you down. Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, I'll
2.
let Alex get this one. That's his guy.
Go.
All right. Danny Ketch, Johnny Blaze. I'm gonna go Alejandro Jones, Robbie
Nice.
Reyes.
Yes.
Name a handful.
Yeah,
for
you
us.
could keep going. I'm sure you can go forever. Okay. Last one on the easy round is name 4 alien, that means non-Earth, races in Marvel. So name 4 alien races, basically races that have been featured that are not from the Earth in
Okay.
Marvel.
Okay.
I've got a couple.
So do I.
Go on. I'll tell you what. Let's do one each.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do one each.
Go,
Yeah,
go on then, Jarian. You go first.
Kree.
Alex.
Will Titans work? Is that acceptable?
I think that's kind of like Eternal Titans. So I mean, like they're from Earth. I wouldn't necessarily count it, but maybe.
Okay.
I'm going to go for the Shi'ar.
Yep.
Is that how you pronounce it? Shi'ar.
Shi'ar, yeah. SHI apostrophe AR.
What they call Mustafarian, or where he said in Guardians of the Galaxy, something Farian or Mustafarian or something like that. But also Scrolls.
Scrolls, yeah.
As
Yeah.
Guardians, would they work?
Asgardians.
Asgardians.
Yep.
Centurions.
Yes.
So that's who Yondu's from.
Yondu is a Centurion,
Yeah,
exactly. That's a good one. You have the Kotadi, you have the Chitauri,
Yeah,
you have
Chitauri,
the Beyonders, the Shi'ar. Oh, you already said the Shi'ar.
Frost
the Watchers, the Frost Giants, the Brood,
Cronins.
Cronins. Yeah,
Cronins,
exactly.
That's Korg. Yeah.
Which super sad about. That was actually probably the worst part of the second episode is that we find out that Korg's arm.
Oh yeah.
Off. Hopefully it wasn't Korg, but I mean, who else could it be? All right, so round 2. Let's move on.
Going up a level.
Next one. So the next one is, what is the name of the formula that allowed the original Nick Fury to live so long?
Oh, crap.
So he takes a special formula that allows him to live a lot longer, and it's not the super soldier serum.
Nope, it's not that. It's
In Ultimate Comics, it is. He is the first super soldier, but in original, white hair, Reed Richards haircut, Nick Fury, he takes a special formula.
I can't remember.
I can hear you, Alex.
Alex, I think are you on mute?
Oh, I was just gonna say
Oh,
I
there
don't
you go.
remember that one either.
All right, so it's the Infinity Formula.
The
The Infinity Formula. He actually, it's actually a big part of his character because he kind of gets blackmailed for a while by this scientist because he has to kind of like do stuff for him or pay him or whatever to get that, to continually get the formula because that's the only guy that makes it. So yeah, so the Infinity Formula. Okay. All right, so here's another one. What is the name of the object that has powers similar to the Infinity Gems, and it allowed the Red Skull to rewrite history and make Captain America into a Hydra agent? So what's the name of that object? It's a really supremely powerful object.
The cubics.
Close?
Close. Cube.
Yes, there it is.
Right, okay, so it's a cosmic cube, but wasn't in Secret Empire, so where Red Skull turned, wasn't it cube? It wasn't.
So
there was an AI.
So all right. So the cosmic cube, because of its immense power, it tends to become sentient. That's what happens to all the cosmic cubes. Inevitably, is they become sentient.
Gotcha.
So that cosmic cube, which was created by AIM, eventually, or by Shield, I believe it was created by Shield. That particular cosmic cube became Kobik.
Cobic, that's it.
It was
There you
called
go.
Cobic.
That's what I was trying to do. That's what I was
Yep.
trying to think of. Right, gotcha. Okay, cool.
All right, cool. Moving on. What is a celestial host?
That's got to be the body that the celestial lives in, surely. Like the
Celestial host.
metal body that
That's
they
their
live in.
armor.
Oh, okay. Go on, and I don't know. No,
I
I'm
keep
just
thinking about
guessing.
the egg, but that's not. It's not the. No.
Yeah, that's a celestial egg.
Yeah, it's the egg. I'm going blank on this one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Alex, you?
Yeah, I don't. I keep on thinking about the God Killer armor. to be
Yeah,
honest.
that's so funny. I was actually just reading about that earlier today, prepping up. So the celestial host is what it's called when the celestials periodically revisit Earth to see, how the dominant race on that planet or how whatever they've messed with is doing. So
Yeah,
they'll
I've read
come
that,
back
yeah.
every time they come back to Earth to see how everything's going along. Because, the Celestials come in, they mess with the genetics, and then they leave for a while because they got other stuff to do. They're the arbiters of life for the entirety of the galaxy. So they got a lot of places they need to be. They can't just be hanging around Earth watching us every day. So when they come back, it's called the Celestial Host, and that's when they'll judge, were we good? Are we worth
Gotcha.
keeping around or not? So that's the
Gotcha.
Celestial Host.
Gotcha. All right, round
All right.
3. Are we on round 3?
Yeah.
Hard round, the last round.
Let's move on to the hard round. Okay. So after Timely Comics, Marvel actually had a brief other name in between becoming Timely and becoming Marvel. What was Marvel? What was the name that Marvel Comics was after it was Timely? So it was Timely, then
Alex
it was
knows
Blank,
this.
then it was
Yes,
Marvel.
he does.
Look at his
What is
face.
it?
Look, he knows it. Go on.
Go for it.
Atlas.
Yep, that's right. Nailed it. That's right.
Nice. Atlas
Exactly.
Comics. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, you know what? Let's stick with the Atlas Comics. I actually have more questions for this round than the other round. So
Just stick with Fredo.
3.
Monty.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All right, so
we're
then
getting there.
yeah. All right, so then let's do. All right, so let's do this one. All right, so in the original Sin storyline, Nick Fury was able to completely incapacitate Thor and make him unable to lift Mjolnir by whispering 3 words to him. What did Nick Fury say to Thor to make him unable to lift his hammer? You can paraphrase it. It doesn't have to be the exact 3 words, but if you can just tell me essentially what he told him.
Didn't he say a name? Did he say a name or something?
Kind of, yeah. He
Yeah.
does mention a name, and I'll give you a hint. It's relative. This is related to Love and Thunder.
He did say a name. I can't remember all of it though, but I remember it was something to do with the name though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Jarian.
I'm going blank on it. I know it was something with the name. I'm going blank on it right now.
He's
All
close.
right.
Go on. Let's just
So what he said was Gore was right.
Yes, that's what it was. Yes.
Because Gore essentially, was like, gods are not worthy of our worship, and
Yes.
they don't, gods don't help out, and they don't take care of the people that worship them, et cetera, et cetera. And just hearing that made Thor think that he was unworthy.
Worthy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said
Nice.
Love and Thunder. I was like, I know it's something with Gore, but I can't remember what Gore said. What the rest of the Gore thing was.
Yeah. Okay. So
Last one.
Name a character from the Timely Comics era who is still active in Marvel today, not Captain America or Bucky. I'll give you a hint. He hasn't appeared in the MCU yet, but he is confirmed to appear in the MCU in this phase.
I'm gonna throw a random guess out there and say Swordsman.
Black Knight.
Alex, what you got? Anything?
I'm gonna agree with Jarian. I'm gonna go with Black Knight.
So it's actually Namor was who I was going to say there, but you have let's see, you have Namor, you have who else? Yeah, there's Bucky, there's Captain America,
Bucky was too easy. I could have
Yeah.
said Bucky.
Yeah, Bucky,
Yeah.
Captain America. Those are like the three main ones that are kind of still from that time. Also the Human Torch, not the Human Torch that was Johnny Storm, but there's an android.
The android.
Yeah, the one they
yeah.
teased in
So
Captain
he's
America: First Avenger.
Yeah,
If
so
I'm
he's
right,
another one.
If I'm right in thinking with the Captain America thing, obviously Captain America, because that was around in like the late 40s, early 50s.
Yes,
and they
correct.
kind of let him settle, didn't they? When they went that they didn't bring him straight in. They let him kind of settle, and they brought all these other characters, and then they brought Captain America in, didn't they? If I'm right in thinking.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct, exactly.
Wicked. Well, that was brilliant, Monty. Thank you for that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We
my
could
pleasure.
go. We could
anytime.
go on for.
I got
we
more,
could-
so anytime.
We'll do a whole series where you can just ask questions the whole time. But no, we could go on forever. But we've been chatting. We've had a really good chat today.
Awesome.
Guys, Alex, it's been great to have you back. Thank you for coming back on.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all right. You're welcome. Monty, always a pleasure to have you on, mate, and have your knowledge, your comic knowledge coming through. So that
My
was fantastic.
pleasure,
Thank you for
guys.
coming back.
Love to be here. Thank you.
Yes,
Jarian,
thank you. Thank you both.
good episode, Jarian.
Yes.
That was another good one, mate. Some more bumper news, a good chat about what if. Thank you for listening, guys. Yeah, great episode. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Why don't you tell them about the time we faced doom
All right. Well, as I remember,
at Avenger headquarters?